Hello, good morning and welcome to AM Prime here on WESN Content Capital. I'm Keaton Shaw. It's May 1st, 2023, the start of a brand new week and a brand new month, and as many would say, a brand new chapter here in our beloved Twin Island Republic. Now, as we enter this wonderful month, and hopefully it brings only good things for all of us, we ended April on a very sour, bitter note. In fact, it was terrifying in many instances as 64 schools across Trinidad and Tobago actually had to be dismissed early and in instances evacuated due to multiple bomb threats across the island. Now, the police service thus far has not actually arrested anyone or released information as it relates to a person of interest. In fact, we're all wondering how long this police investigation is going to take, because the Minister of National Security could not say much. He just said that because an investigation is ongoing, that there's nothing much more that he can actually give to the public at this time. Well, the Ministry of Education also held a press conference last week Friday after the nation was actually gripped with fear, concerns of what is going on, what's taking place, and the question marks about our safety, even within the schools now as children conduct their classes every day. Well, are they even safe sitting in that classroom? There was another incident that took place at the Belmont Secondary School where a health and safety officer who was making his duties, his rounds in searching the premises and the compound, well, he came across two gunmen. He gave his account to the media, of which we will show you later. But first, let's take a look at this video from the Ministry of Education's press conference last week Friday.
Just final question. Is there a specific unit within the ministry that can investigate these things, or is this specifically cybercrime that you're going to have to pass this on to?
This is a police matter. This is a police matter.
All right. My usual question, Prime Minister, been informed, has he given you any instructions or anything that he wants you to convey to the public?
Well, I'm doing exactly what you would expect me to do at this point, keeping the public informed. We would have put out a press release earlier today so that the public is aware that we know what is happening, we are dealing and treating with it, and so that we don't have parents panicking and wondering, what exactly is the protocol, what's taking place. We're informing. This is the protocol that has been followed. We want to thank our principals and our teachers for ensuring that the safety of our children was paramount, and so we are moving forward with the investigation with the help of the police, and we really want to make a call. I want to make a personal call to our children, for our children, on behalf of our children, asking those who are involved in this to understand the repercussions that destabilizing our education system has on our children. I have a child out of school today. I'm sure Mr. Morris Julian, many of us sitting on here will have children or grandchildren or nieces or nephews. This affects us all. So it takes a village to raise a child, and we have to be more mindful of the effects of our actions on our children. So I would just really, in the strongest terms, condemn what happened today, and I would appeal to those involved to not do this again to our children.
And just one last question from myself. Have you been in contact with the Chief Secretary of Tobago, seeing as how some schools in Tobago are also affected?
No, but the ministry officials have been in touch with Tobago, and so that's how we know Tobago has been affected and what's happening there.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. That brings to an end. Members of the media, I want to say thank you very much for the my apology for the late notice. Honorable Minister, thanks for your time. Permanent Secretary, other members of the executive, and of course our viewing and listening public. God bless you. Have a blessed rest of the day.
Well, I think it's actually really good that the Ministry of Education held a press conference, but I mean, what else could they do? Had they not held that, and had they not informed the nation as to exactly what was taking place, we would all be a little bit more concerned. But the issue beyond that is, do you get the impression that we actually were prepared for this? But furthermore, do you get the impression that the relevant authorities actually understood or knew the severity of what was happening? Because I'm not against the Minister of Education actually keeping calm. That's actually really good when the rest of the nation is panicking. But you just get the impression that she wasn't entirely sure as to what's taking place on the ground or what was actually happening. In fact, they seem a bit clueless as to Tobago on a whole. So that's the thing. as much as there was panic and concern, and as much as us here in the newsroom at WESN were trying our very best to stay up to date, I mean, the Bishop Centenary School on Robert Street, which is just a walking distance away from our studios, well, that entire street was locked off because that was the very first school to actually receive the bomb threat. We were all just wondering exactly, could the authorities deal with this situation? Because the other part about it is, what if, and maybe it is a hoax, it all just led to nothing and investigations will continue and in about 2 weeks we'll forget about it. But what if it was a distraction for something else? What if it was a distraction for something major? Again, the safety, our concerns for our children, not just with school fights on the school compound, but just generally national security now within our school compounds. Well, does that even exist? Anyway, I'm supposed to be joined by my guest right now, actually, via Zoom. He is the president of the National Parent Teachers Association, Mr. Kevin David. Is he with us? All right. Good morning, Mr. David. Could you hear me?
Good morning. Yes, I'm hearing you clearly.
Well, thank you very much for joining me this morning, Sir Bright and early. I know that following last week Friday's events, I think every single parent is very concerned and very anxious as they wake up to drop their children to school this morning. Immediately, what was the reaction of the NPTA to this situation? In fact, what has come out of this in terms of the direction that the NPTA is taking as it relates to speaking with the Ministry of Education as well as schools over concerns of security?
Yes, hi, good morning to you. Good morning to the entire Trinidad and Tobago and to your viewers. Let's just state firstly that the NPTA is very much concerned about our safety of our children, first and foremost, our teachers, staff of our schools themselves. We are nowhere in support of any sort of action that will disrupt the education of our children. So I just want to put that out there. Mm-hmm. All right. When we first heard about this information, we were very much concerned. We were very worried, just like our parents, or just like other parents, because we ourselves are parents. We have children within our school system. And there were a lot of concerns going on during the course of the day because, as you would have known, the day started out with an incident occurring within one of our schools in Port of Spain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that incident itself will have brought a lot of concern for us. And as the morning progressed, we began to be informed about bomb threats that started off, well, basically in one school, and then eventually throughout the entire system during the course of the day itself. One of the concerns many parents would have had was probably with the reaction with many of the schools. Mm-hmm. What the NPTA would have found was that many of the schools did not receive, or rather, I would say, the information was not readily available to them due to the fact that in some cases, the email in which this bomb threat was sent was received via some of the administrators' junk mail, and in some cases within their inboxes. Mm-hmm. So we had variant times in which principals or administrative staff would have read such information, and based upon that would have affected their reaction in terms of what was happening on the ground itself. Mm-hmm. So that in itself would have given reason why that certain schools may not have reacted as quickly as others may have.
Mm. Well, Mr. David, on behalf of the NPTA, is that you all are satisfied following last Friday's events, or is there greater concerns now expressed of the vulnerability of our schools in the instances of national security? I mean, we're well aware of what takes place on a weekly basis with the number of school fights, and with the violence that's coming from school compounds. But even as it relates to the issue from the Belmont Secondary School with gunmen on the compound, the vulnerability of our school system has been exposed. Is the NPTA confident that the Ministry of Education, in collaboration with the Ministry of National Security, by extension the police service, do you think that enough is being done? And has there been any word as to future plans or already certain concerns being addressed within the last few days, given Friday's events?
Well, one has to take into consideration is just Friday this matter would have taken place. All right. So to state that there will be some sort of plans that will be or would have been communicated with us as stakeholders, I mean, I think it's too soon for consideration to be made. However, what I will say is that due to our changing environment, because I mean, you address most of the issues that related to the school, but what about external to the school, the crime on the whole itself, which is a very great concern for us. But at this point in time, we were very much satisfied with, in terms of how things were done by many of our schools. They clearly displayed the clear understanding in terms of evacuation, emergency, those sort of things. What we would have also indicated as well too was that there may be room for improvement in terms of how we evacuate and based upon what we have, what is the emergency, those sort of things. So we are already advised our membership itself, right, to ensure that discussion is taking place with the relevant schools itself to ensure that appropriate safety protocols are put in place and tested periodically. Because it doesn't make sense that we all have an emergency plan and it is not tested periodically, right? And in such ways that will be able to mitigate the risk of damage to persons on the school compound and shows also improvements with different methods of improvement in terms of we move forward. What I want to state as well too is that taking in consideration the manner in which these bomb threats were received is something that we also need to take a look at. We need to assess our IT infrastructure. We need to look at it. We need to be able to mitigate so that we'll be able to mitigate the risk of something like this reoccurring. All right. Our personnel within the IT field, I'm not going into depth in that, but our personnel in the IT field will have a clear understanding of what I'm speaking about and what I'm referring to, right, in regards to that. Because as we develop, as society develop, we must also look at ensuring that our plans and everything like that continue to improve along with those developments of society itself.
Well, Mr.
And we
David,
need to assess these sort of issues as we go forward.
certainly, I agree. Assessing our infrastructure and resources is certainly necessary going forward. Although, let me ask you, though you said that the incident only took place on Friday, and that it's rather soon to be speaking about, certain steps going forward. Given the fact that you've also addressed the issue of external factors of national security on a whole, all this in mind, as a parent and as a head of the NPTA, do you feel safe sending your children to school this morning?
Yes, I do feel safe to sending my children to school this morning. Right? Yes, the incident would have occurred. We would have had a lot of incidents occurring within the United States. All right, but at the end of the day, we must place some level of trust within the law enforcement. I agree. Like, for example, the first incident that would have occurred on Friday morning, which was at Belmont Secondary School, raises a lot of concerns in which we intend to address and put forward. But at the end of the day, we cannot allow ourselves to be frightened into a situation whereby the criminals actually take over our schools itself, because one of my communications with on school itself previously was that I spoke about that level of respect for a school, that safe zone, whereby is respected. A child has given the ability to consider the school itself, and that also dealt with and speaks to the deviant behavior within our children, right? That safe zone, a safety sanctuary whereby our children can come to school and learn, and likewise our teachers can teach comfortably, right? So again, it is a reflection of our society breakdown, but what we have to do is that we have to ensure that the generation coming forward has a clear understanding of this, and we make the necessary preparations for them.
The
So,
generation coming forward needs to have a clear understanding. But if we are speaking honesty with each other, could we really say with great confidence that the parents or the current generation that are fostering future generations, they themselves are aware of it and they themselves are actually doing something about it?
Can you repeat that? I didn't get the question inside it.
I said, yes, sure, we could agree that the future generations have to be aware of this and they have to do something. But could we say with confidence that the current generation of parents, whether it be foster parents or whatever it may be, those who are bringing up our children now, raising them, are they themselves aware? Are they themselves understanding and knowing that things have to be done differently?
Well, that is a very good consideration there. But one has to take into consideration that is the reason why we are here as the NPT, as an organization, to provide that necessary support. I have provided a lot of concerns. I've issued a lot of concerns in terms of how we are parents. We not only react, but how we act as parents, how we conduct ourselves as parents. And I have given a lot of concerns on that, and that is the reason why we look at these issues and seek ways of addressing it. So it is rather for us to initiate different programs based upon what we see before us and look to address it instead of just throwing our hands up in the air. You know, so that is the only way that we can make certain improvements. And I mean, I just wanna state here as well too. These things will have happened due to the breakdown within family life during a period in time. So we have acknowledged these sort of things, right? And we make the necessary improvements accordingly. However, to sit down to expect to see those results materialize within the shortest possible time, I mean, we need to be realistic in terms of that. But that is why I will say that organizations like the NPT and other parenting organizations who are generally concerned about parenting on the whole has always made the natural effort to ensure that our parents are well supported. I would have also indicated as well too that based upon our programs, just like society has changed, so too our programs need to be adjusted to meet the current needs of our parents. So for example, we will have had parenting sessions within one area. These now will have to sort of move out into the community itself, right? Whereby we actually provide that information and support to the parents themselves and go out. That is why we have these social workers within the school environment. So from there now, we will be able to have a better assessment to know what exactly is happening. So from there now, we'll be able to provide now that those support that is actually needed in terms of reaching to those parents themselves. So I would say that we are trying our best. Those who know better are trying their best to make the necessary changes and improvements within our educational system at this point in time.
Well, Mr. David, I'll certainly take your word with it, though, again, it's nothing against you or your organization. You're saying in the shortest possible time. We must be realistic. It's not going to happen overnight. I will argue with you that this is something that has been building up over years. The situation has only gotten worse. In fact, we're now in a state of, I would even argue, crisis. But I want to thank you very much for your time this morning, and thank you for joining me and for briefing us as to what is taking place and the NPTA's role. And I certainly wish you all the very best.
That is not a problem. I just want to throw in on one or two things here. Just on a lighter note, right? I just want to invite the nation itself to our programs. We have some programs running currently right now with Tutor and NPT, where we have joined together to provide parents rights and responsibilities, Ministry of Education Inclusion Policy and student support services, avenues for parent advocacy, support groups, and feedback. These programs run online on May the 7th, May the 13th, May the 20th and 28th, respectively. All right, so these are some of the things that we are actually doing as an organization to provide the necessary support. On last Saturday, we will have had the certificates, prizes given out for our Read Aloud program, which is a pilot project we run throughout the entire region of Port of Spain. So this is a program whereby we will have had children of different ages reading approximately 2 to 4 minutes, whereby they, for an hour, stipulated day for 1 hour, and they would have been showing their interest in reading. Mm-hmm. The cycle concluded with a prize ceremony this Saturday, right? And this is expected to roll out within the region. So this is one of the ways that we are attempting to address the literacy concerns. Also, too, I would like to invite you as well as the nation to our Family Day on July the 8th, 2023, right? It's a family day. It is not a sports and family day. It's one of a kind. It's where you will be able to come and eat, have fun, but also learn, which is one of the major differences in terms of this family day. We're going to have booths from the various companies. We are not releasing that information as yet, but we will have various booths pertaining from the ministries, different organizations, which will be providing information and support to our parents as well as our students. So we're inviting you all July the 8th, 2023 to come out and enjoy yourself, Cipriani Labour College. Further information will be released accordingly. You can also follow us on NPTA Facebook, as well as send us any information via email, nptatnt@gmail.com. Right, so all these are different things, initiatives that we are doing to try to attempt to reach all our parents as well as our children. Well, right, so thank you once again for having me here, sir.
Well, certainly, sir. Thank you very much, and well done on all those initiatives. I hope the audience, and the response is very much one that we're all hopeful for. But thank you very much, sir. Keep well and all the very best.
No problem. You too. Take care and all the best again. Thanks a lot.
That was Mr. Kevin David, the president of the NPTA, this morning, just briefing us as to events that would, or even conversations that would have transpired following last week Friday's event. He says he feels confident and safe sending his children to school this morning. He also believes that we shouldn't live in this great level of anxiety, because that is where the criminals will have won over us. But you can share your thoughts and opinions with WESN. You can send in your messages or your emails. But for now, we have to take a break. And when we return, we'll get into a lighter conversation this morning. Stay tuned.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website, www.fanzonett.com, for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website, fanzonett.com, to make your purchase today.
The best laptops and tablets are at dbesttoys.com. Get a Gateway 14.1-inch Ultra Slim notebook or an HP 14-inch laptop at the best prices in TNT. Get the Fire 7 tablet for $474. You can also shop the latest Amazon Fire Sticks. Call now at 32DBEST to order, or visit us in-store at Forces flagship MacBean. Shop online now at dbesttoys.com. Free delivery available throughout Trinidad and Tobago. Cash or links on delivery.
The issue the continued rise in the price of flour and its impact on the cost of living in Trinidad and Tobago. How should we go about it? I want to ask you, what has been revealed to you about the state of vulnerability in the country because of this exercise and because of what we're going through? Is the government losing the war on the vaccine front?
The discussion should revolve around the common good for the greatest number of people in Trinidad and Tobago.
How do we inculcate a sense of respect and regard for people who may not be of your own political ilk or persuasion?
The communities are now being used by political opportunists. So
when the tables are turned, it's the same way. Okay, this has been 10 questions. I'm Andy Johnson, and we'll see you next time.
With society plagued by a host of issues, with debates surrounding our urgent concerns falling short, with questions of our future not always being answered,
the conversation continues. Join me, Kemuel Pascal, as the voice of the youth comes to life. We will confront the controversial topics of today's world to gain answers that are key for a better tomorrow. One and One with me, Kemuel Pascal. Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Only on WESN Content Capital.
What's the best way to grab the attention of viewers? Please exercise more patience. You have to be kidding me.
Doing what we do best. I'll say at the very least it's a conspiracy of laziness against the people.
Join me, Keaton Shaw.
And me, Sean Michael Small, for Talking Point.
Weekdays from 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m.
We go in depth on the trending issues and engage the most controversial newsmakers
as we get them to account to the people for their actions.
You can't go to the government with nothing. You can't go to cabinet with an empty hand, with a wish.
I'm glad that we're having this a sober, mature discussion.
In the present situation, I expect a continuation of the chaos.
Join us for the discussion, Mondays to Fridays,
only on WESN,
the Content Capital. Welcome back for AM Prime. Thank you very much for joining me this morning and for staying with me. The Filmmakers Collaborative of Trinidad and Tobago will be teaming up to support the execution of this year's European Film Festival. It's the first time since the pandemic that the festival will be in person, and it runs from May 10th to 19th. Well, I'm very pleased to welcome, and he's joined me this morning on very early actually, and what should be a break for him, His Excellency Ambassador Fernando Nogales, the Ambassador of Spain. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Pleasure to be here.
So my first question to you is, why a film festival and the importance of the collaboration of Trinidad and Tobago and the European Film Festival?
Well, so we've been running for 27 years this festival. And at the end of the day, we bring a festival because we want to offer quality films, something that are made in Europe, and that treat a product that is worthwhile, that takes people 2 hours or less than 2 hours, and for 2 hours is something that appeals to your senses and to your intellect. Something, okay, it treats me as an adult. So I was telling you that I saw last night one of the movies, or the two movies that we are showing, and said, okay, this is a very good product. Something that I could relate very easily to, that look at the Spanish reality of the time, and that was a very powerful story.
Certainly. But then, in that same light, what is the value of independent films, as will be showcased in this film festival?
Well, I think the value is that there is, behind a project, there is an artist that has a message, and there you have people who have the technical ability to transport you in something that takes you that relates to your everyday experience, but it's also a valuable artistic product. So at the end of the day, it's not about, let's say, the technical wizardry behind that, although very many of the films are very good technically, but there is a talent, there is an idea, there is a brain behind the film that you are watching.
And Trinidad and Tobago's role in this particular film festival, what do you describe their role and the value of that role in bringing this film festival?
Well, I think that is very important, that the fact that we are able to show the films in Napa and in Alice at the National Library and at the Academy of Performing Arts. So that's the role of the public authorities of Trinidad and Tobago, and this is something that we are very thankful for.
Culturally,
yes,
a film festival certainly allows for multiple cultures on one stage. Would you say that this not only works in terms of culture or bringing various cultures from around the world to showcase to the population, but by extension, it's also a form of diplomacy?
Well, yes. So at the end of the day, diplomacy has many purposes, but there are two basics. One is that you connect people, and that connects the people who are interested in film with the creator. That's one level. And on the there's another dimension, is to promote your interest, the image, and we are promoting the image of Europe, and this is the reality, the values that we try to project, but as something that that allows the Trinidadian public to relate to. But at the end of the day, we should not we should not look, if we want to look into kind of a diplomacy object. What matters is that we have available a number of films that are worth showing, and and is this a good product? Yes, it is a good product. So I want to bring it here. So that was the logic of ours when we were choosing the movies. It's not the message. Is it a good product? Yes. Does it carry a message? Well, maybe, but what matters is that it is a good product.
Mm-hmm. This good product, you said, connecting people is always key.
Yes.
Would you say that films, especially these independent films, gives us a better understanding of cultures? And I think you used something that the image of Europe.
Yes.
If that's a statement that you just said. Is it easy to do something like that through a film, connect people? Because it might be rather difficult, considering that whether or not there is an understanding, whether or not that film will lead to a better understanding. Do you think it makes it easier to connect people?
Oh yes, because at the end of the day, you watch a film, you like it, you like the message, you like how it is presented. So you may understand that from that, say, okay, well, there is talent, there is an environment. Can I, for example, let me suggest that you take one of the comedians that appear there. I want to, now it's quite easy through internet. Let me see that same comedian in other films. And then through that, you can do that. Or, you see a scene in a movie, and you seem to like the city the film is set in. So from that, you begin to develop your own connection to the culture that is behind the film. So I think that there are very many ways. For example, imagine that a movie talks about a given subject. Mm-hmm. Okay. So what is the state of the debate in Europe on this subject that is also of interest to me?
Yes.
Of interest. From that you can build your own story. It's a story that is presented to you, and from that story, you begin to, as much as we do in music, you listen to a song in the radio. Okay, so you begin to explore the other songs by the same performer, or one of the musicians that is backing the artist. So this is how we interact with the film.
And tell us a bit about the films that are being showcased at the film festival. I think you said last night you watched two, you saw two. Speak to us about those films.
Well, so we are bringing 23 films from across the European Union, but notably the embassies that are based here, the Embassy of Germany, France, the Netherlands, and Spain. So it covers, so there are comedies, there are thrillers, you have films with social conscience, and then you have a variety. You have, let's say, more complex films where the big budget, and you have a low budget. So I think that you have that the offer is quite varied, and I think that what the public can do is go to the Facebook, the webpage of the film festival, and choose a given film depending on, look at the information and choose depending on the circumstances. Well, I want to opt for that. So I think that's how should be the approach.
Though we are aware, Your Excellency, that you are the ambassador to Spain.
Yes.
What are your top picks for the film festival?
Well, we are showcasing on the one hand, a film called King Perfecto, which is a comedy, a very, very, very funny movie. I remember having watched it many years ago, and it was fun. I didn't stop laughing throughout the film. And the second one is Caja 507, Box 507. It's a thriller that is set in the south of Spain concerning a case of corruption, and it is a character that is in the middle of a criminal case with a background of corruption. I was watching it last night, and I was for more than 1 hour and a half. I was totally gripped by it. It was a very powerful movie.
All right, so I've got to add those two particular films to my list when I go to view the showcase. Could you just share with the viewing public when this is taking place and where they can view it?
It's from the 10th to the 17th of May, and it will be happening at NALIS, at the audiovisual room of NALIS, at the University of TT, and at the Academic of Performing Arts in Napa, the second hall of Napa. So these are the three venues where the festival takes place.
Now, this is the first time in a few years that it's taking place in person.
Yeah.
But could we look forward to more collaborations such as this with the European Union and Trinidad and Tobago for film festivals?
Oh, yeah. So the commitment to hold it is clear. We've been doing it for 27 years. Why should we stop? I was telling you that I spent the weekend attending events by the Bucket List Fest. I think, and I saw there that there is an urge for culture.
Yes.
And I think that why should we give up on culture? I think that at the end of the day, culture as different but connected to entertainment is something that is very close to the heart of us as Europeans, but also in Trinidad and Tobago. I think that this is something that we clearly have to promote, because otherwise, what is left?
No, but it also is an opportunity for these independent filmmakers, young
Yes.
up-and-coming filmmakers, to
Yes.
showcase their products, their
Yes.
talents, as you said, to a wider viewing audience.
Yes,
but
certainly.
it's also an opportunity, I suppose, for filmmakers in Trinidad and Tobago, not only to probably learn or get more ideas or expand the creatives, but showcase their work by extension in Europe in time to come.
Oh, certainly. This is something that we are particularly happy to have established this partnership with the local industry, because that's how it has been done in other places. I remember when the Spanish film industry was not as developed as it is now. It was the local industry that was also very instrumental in promoting foreign talent in Spain, because these are the connections that are established. And well, from what I know, many of the people that are promoting the film festival working, when you engage in conversation with them, they throw out you names of European creators, directors that they have seen, actresses, and script writers, and this is the people they have established a connection to. So other than enjoying that, there's also the fact that you are promoting those links, which is and this is great.
I think this is absolutely fantastic, and I want to thank you very much, Your Excellency, for joining me this morning. What you've just described, the opportunities that come out from a film festival for all those involved, whether it be the filmmaker, the actors, the actresses, the scriptwriters, other filmmakers from other nations, or even for the viewing public, the opportunity to be exposed to more topics and more cultures.
Well, I think that, or having a good time at the cinema. So I think that we somehow. Sometimes we are in our cocoon at home, that we have a big offer. Well, make also the effort to go there, and your attitude it changes as well. So I think that this is worth. I think that we are showing a product that is worth spending hours watching.
Yes. I agree with you. Your Excellency Fernando Nogales, thank you very much
My
for
pleasure.
joining me this morning. And as we conclude this interview, we can take a look at this trailer for the European Film Festival. Let's see this.
Every word, every line, every paragraph depicts a real moment in someone's life. A father, a sister, a mother, a brother. We at Newsday are dedicated to you, the people, and through independent, unwavering journalism, strive to always bring your stories to life. Because your stories are more than just words. Newsday, independent and credible.
Is it politics? What is it? Is it that nobody cares about sports?
The kind of support that sport used to get in the past is no longer here.
The thing is, taking a knee doesn't mean that that's the only thing you're doing on.
Right.
Taking a knee along with other stuff.
Samantha, what are you looking forward to when you return home to Trinidad and Tobago after winning the title?
Thank you very much for speaking it into existence.
Is there no pressure on Nicholas Ball?
It makes me more motivated to work hard and to go out there and rep the red, white, and black.
Why are we sending a team to the Winter Olympics?
There are a number of Trinbagonians who are in the diaspora and have grown up in winter sport. It's an opportunity that the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee will not close the door on.
I also believe in the players that we have. Once you can motivate the players, you can get the best out of them.
Balancing your career and work with your personal life is a struggle.
I thought it was a good example I was setting for my kids. So they would see hard work, perseverance, long hours pays off. But I never felt like I could have achieved enough. It was never enough.
A lot of people, because of those trauma and original sensitizing events and how we were brought up, we tend to put ourselves last. We tend to put other people first, work first, other people, and we tend to put ourselves last. And that is a recipe for disaster.
What's Up, Doc? Every Tuesday and Thursday on WESN, Content Capital.
Join me, Sule A. Joseph, as I delve into the day-to-day psychological issues plaguing our society. We will discuss behaviors that encompass the biological influences, social pressures, and environmental factors that affect how you think, act, and feel. Psyched. Thursdays at 11:30 a.m. only on WESN, Content Capital.
North Coast Jazz and Heritage Festival. Safe and sound, that's how we'll get you to the biggest North Coast Jazz ever. No hassle and no worries. Park your ride at the Queen's Park Savannah. Hop on board a safe and secure shuttle with your $100 return fee, and that's it. Service begins at 10 a.m. through 1 p.m. and returns from festival grounds from 7 p.m. Park and ride, a $100 return fee, first come, first go shuttle service to festival grounds Blashy shares. No hassle and no worries. North Coast Jazz, May 27th. Born here, played here.
Tickets available at Crosby St. James, Kenny's Sport, Extra Foods, Mart's Liquor Palace, 14 Diego Martin Main Road, and WESN, 30A Gattaca Street, Woodbrook.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, The Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378, or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
Welcome back, and thank you for staying with me on AM Prime this morning. It's now time to get into some regional updates, and we start off with Cuba, where in Cuba motorists have been queuing for fuel, sometimes for days at a time. Due to crippling shortages, the island nation is highly dependent on energy imports. President Miguel Diaz-Canel blames oil-producing countries. Fuel shortages are some of the biggest challenges facing the president, who was re-elected for a second term only last week. Let's take a look at this report.
Empty fuel pumps and queues of vehicles that stretch for blocks. The latest chapter in Cuba's long economic crisis.
There's no fuel. We've spent 3 days driving around. We've been to 6 or 7 gas stations, and the queues are never ending.
President Miguel Diaz-Canel says the country is only receiving 2/3 of the petrol it needs. He's blamed supplier nations.
The countries that have commitments to us to supply us with gasoline based on the agreements that we have with them have also been in a complex energy situation and have not been able to meet those commitments.
So drivers are organizing themselves into lines and using WhatsApp groups to find out where and when tankers are arriving. Some find ways to while away the time.
If it doesn't arrive today, it will arrive tomorrow. But I've got to be here. I go to my house, I shower, I eat, I come back with my guitar and continue composing.
Cubans are used to spending time in queues, but there's something almost surreal about this. This line has over 300 vehicles in it, and it's over 1 kilometre long. Last week, the government started rationing how much petrol and diesel drivers can buy.
This will allow us not to touch zero and to cover vital services such as ambulances, necrological services, and transporting potatoes to the market, which requires diesel.
One economist says the main reason for the shortfall is the cash crunch.
Without fuel for tractors, harvests are smaller. If workers can't make it to the factory, productivity is lowered. If there's one sector that the rest of the economy depends on, it's fuel.
Raidel Labrada and his family have been waiting around all day and have a long night ahead.
My tank only has a space for 35 litres, so I drive for 2 days and then have to come back to sleep outside a new petrol station.
In the short term, it means long nights and dreary days. In the long term, it means more price increases and an economy that produces even less. Ed Augustin, Al Jazeera, Havana.
Frightening situation indeed. I do recall when this was taking place in Sri Lanka, and we saw the situation there. Now it's happening in Cuba. Reports are suggesting that Cubans are used to queues. But let's move on now. I'm sorry, I'm just thinking about that day. God forbid the day that happens here in TNT. Anyway, let's move across now to Guyana, where in traditional fashion, Dr. Irfaan Ali, President of the Republic of Ghana, as the country's sitting head of state, addressed the opening of the annual Police Officers Conference, saying he was impressed with the work of the Ghana Police Force over the last year. Dr. Ali commended the leadership of Acting Police Commissioner Clifton Hicken. Let's take a look at this report.
I am not dissatisfied with the performance of the Guyana Police Force over the past year. I have seen evidence of improvements. I have seen admirable leadership by the Commissioner and his team. I must accord credit where credit is due.
President Irfaan Ali. He believes the police force has made significant strides to modernize, diversify, and become more accountable. Notwithstanding, the head of state said crime fighting and ensuring a safe country is a complex issue that is ever evolving. He said too that policing cannot be seen as isolated from development, and so, as a consequence, called on the officers to understand the importance of their duty.
At the end of this officers' conference, we must launch a massive education campaign. Community by community, road by road.
It is against this backdrop that Dr. Ali made a passionate appeal for the Guyana Police Force to support his administration's intent on tackling drunk and reckless driving. He reminded those gathered of the Intoxicating Liquor Licensing Amendment Act of 2022 and said the police force must ensure it is enforced, especially clauses that place responsibility on bar owners. Dr. Ali said already investments in technology is helping the police to do its work, but said the social component of policing should not be lost.
This must stop. This must get special attention at this officers' conference. We passed legislation to make bar owners and bartenders accountable. Also, not just the drivers. There is a clear guideline in bars where announcement must be made in relation to serving alcohol to drivers. We must implement this legislation, this guidelines to the T.
No community, street or citizen should be bypassed in this approach, Dr. Ali further posited. For the newsroom, Kurt Campbell.
Doing one more. Welcome back, and thank you very much for staying with me. That's out of Gangana. So the thing is now what I'm questioning whether or not TNT, it's something, as far as I'm aware, is not on the books, but I've heard it being discussed from various avenues here in TNT, and whether or not bar owners should be held partly responsible for drunk drivers here in Trinidad and Tobago. Now, if it's a situation where somebody is indulging on a premises, such as within their home or within a party, I'd like to see the argument there. But the issue is somebody who's indulging from a business place, such as a bar or even a liquor mart. Well, I'm wondering if they should be held accountable. Anyway, let's move on to the country of Haiti, where armed gangs in Haiti have been steadily expanding their influence since the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse nearly 2 years ago. The UN says violence in the capital, Port-au-Prince, is similar to a war zone. In October, Haiti's embattled government requested foreign military assistance, but so far there's been no intervention in the Caribbean nation. Let's see this report.
They're getting more powerful every day. Armed gang members in Canaan, on the outskirts of Port-au-Prince. The UN estimates gangs now control 80% of the Haitian capital. But gang members say they're the least of Haiti's many troubles.
People say gangs like ours are the country's biggest problem. But where do we find all these weapons? People live in areas without food, water, roads, and hospitals. And they accuse us of being the country's problem. We leave it for the state to answer.
Haiti has been in the middle of an economic and political crisis for years, with violence spiraling out of control following the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse in 2021. Alexandre Macandre's house was set on fire by armed groups trying to take control of another part of the capital.
As you can see, all these are people who burned inside the house. They could not be saved during the invasion. So many people died. This is a terrible thing that happens in the country.
Thousands of people have been displaced because of the violence. Many are living in shelters, often unable to go back to their homes. Francesca Michan's husband was executed by gang members.
While my husband was trying to enter the house, they took him, shot him, and burnt him with his motorcycle. That's why I came to the shelter with my children. When I returned home, our house was completely burnt. I didn't save anything. My husband was a motorcycle driver. He was the one who took care of all the family.
Haiti lacks the trained security forces needed to help the state regain control over lost territory. 6 months ago, the government requested international military assistance, but nothing so far has come to the appeal. Recent leaked U.S. intelligence documents show that Russia's Wagner Group was offering help in fighting the gangs. Analysts say that's not the answer to the country's problems.
I think that we need to find our solutions ourselves, and I think the United States needs to be more proactive in helping us out. But we think we need to work with the diaspora, the international community, and Haiti to find a solution. The Wagner Group from Russia, it has its reputation. We've seen some videos. This is not something that we're looking forward to.
While the international community tries to find a solution, thousands remain trapped in the chaos that has taken over their daily lives. Teresa Bo, Al Jazeera.
Well, that update coming from Al Jazeera in Haiti. Ladies and gentlemen, that's just, I suppose every time we have a regional update coming from the island of Haiti, it is rather distressing and very sad, to say the least. Last week we had an update as a mob of villagers actually, they grabbed 13 suspected gang members from a police bus, lynched them and burned their bodies on the streets. This one now giving us an update as to the fighting that is taking place. Port-au-Prince being described as a war zone and the need for foreign military intervention. Ladies and gentlemen, we take a break here on AM Prime. When we return, well, I welcome my final guest for this morning's edition of the program. For a very insightful, interesting conversation as we further explore the relationship or the things at least that Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago have in common. We'll be right back after this.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzoneTT.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
The best for your baby is at dbesttoys.com. We have the best strollers, car seats, walkers, feeding accessories, playpens, cribs, clothing, and the widest range of brand name toys like Barbie, Hot Wheels, Nerf, LOL, Fisher-Price, Cocomelon, Intex Pools, Amazon Fire tablets, HP and Gateway laptops, and the best bikes, scooters, skateboards, and ride-on. Visit us in-store at Southern Main Road, McBean, or shop online now at dbesttoys.com. That's dbesttoys.com. We have the best toys at the best prices.
7 is out, all day is in. WESN News on the hour.
Every word, every line, every paragraph depicts a real moment in someone's life. A father, a sister, a mother, a brother. We at Newsday are dedicated to you, the people, and through independent, unwavering journalism, strive to always bring your stories to life. Because your stories are more than just words. Newsday, independent and credible.
I am Rondell Donowa, attorney at law and host of Strictly Legal on WESN Content Capital. Strictly Legal is a legal program geared towards informing you, the public, of your legal rights, responsibilities, and remedies. So be viewing Thursdays 10 a.m. to 10:30 a.m.
Join me, Dr. Nalini Kokram, on What's Up Doc, where we discuss all your burning questions concerning health.
Trinidad and Tobago is among one of the highest risk group of patients that develop this form of genetic breast cancer.
What I'd like to take home from a short interview like this, screening. You must screen.
Because it's silent.
It's silent.
Yeah.
And because it's silent, you don't know it's there.
What's Up Doc, every Tuesday and Thursday on WESN Content Capital.
Is it politics? What is it? Is it that nobody cares about sports?
The kind of support that sport used to get in the past is no longer here.
The thing is, taking a knee doesn't mean that that's the only thing you're doing on it.
Right.
Taking a knee along with other stuff.
Samantha, what are you looking forward to when you return home to Trinidad and Tobago after winning the title?
Thank you very much for speaking it into existence.
Is there no pressure on Nicholas Ball?
It makes me more motivated to work hard and to go out there and rep the red, white and black.
Why are we sending a team to the Winter Olympics?
There are a number of Trinbagonians who are in the diaspora and have grown up in winter sport. It's an opportunity that the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee will not close the door on.
I also believe in the players that we have. Once you can motivate the players, you can get the best out of them.
North Coast Jazz and Heritage Festival. Safe and sound, that's how we'll get you to the biggest North Coast Jazz ever. No hassle and no worries. Park your ride at the Queen's Park Savannah Hop on board a safe and secure shuttle with your $100 return fee, and that's it. Service begins at 10 a.m. through 1 p.m. and returns from festival grounds from 7 p.m. Park and Ride, a $100 return fee, first come, first go shuttle service to festival grounds Blashy Shares. No hassle and no worries. North Coast Jazz, May 27th. Born here, played here.
Tickets available at Crosby St. James, Kenny Sport, Extra Foods, Mart's Liquor Palace, 14 Diego Martin Main Road, and WESN, 30A Gattaca Street, Woodbrook.
Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us this morning. It's described as a shared problem between Trinidad and Tobago and Jamaica. I'm not speaking about who cooks the best curried goat or who produces the best music. Actually, no, it's the war against crime. But this is an interesting twist. Following the CARICOM Symposium as Violence as a Public Health Emergency, to which actually Prime Minister of Jamaica, Andrew Holness, last day in Trinidad and Tobago for our 60th anniversary of independence celebrations, he said he agrees actually with crime being a public health emergency. Well, we're hearing coming out of Jamaica now that from the beginning of 2023 up until April 22nd, 2023, murders committed in the country have been reduced by 17% compared to 2022, with overall major crimes seeing a 20% reduction. So to have a better understanding as to the government's operations in Jamaica and perhaps their policies as to what they've done and what they're doing that has led to this reduction, I'm joined by a colleague of mine. She's a new broadcaster at Radio Jamaica 94 FM, Miss Adrian Gordon. She's with us via telephone this morning. Hello, Miss Gordon.
Hi, good morning.
Well, thank you.
Also, sorry for the time difference. I swear it was 6 o'clock where you are right now. It's 6 o'clock in Jamaica.
It's absolutely fine. No worries about that. But thank you very much still for joining me this morning. That's an announcement by the Minister of National Security, Dr. Arish Chang, that murders have been reduced by 17% for this time period compared to last year. That's absolutely amazing, especially with the overall crimes, major crimes being down by 20%. What has the government been doing different? Have we seen different policies? Have we seen different measures being undertaken by the government and by extension the national security apparatus in Jamaica?
Not to take anything away from what has been done or what is being done to assist in the reduction of major crimes in Jamaica, but sometimes when we look at the statistics, it may seem a little bit off to us because we're looking at on an individual basis, as in parish by parish, number by number. So sometimes when we break down those crime statistic numbers, it could just be there were 20 murders in a period last year, and this year there are 18 or 19. The one less does count in terms of percentage. So sometimes when you look at it in the overall picture of a percentage, it is not a drastic decrease or increase, but when you do work out the percentage, there is still a reduction. So we'd have to, quantify that to say, yes, murders have declined, but it's not a significant drop in some of those cases. But as it relates to what is being done, I know the government has been using a lot of zones of special operations and states of public emergencies, sometimes not being supported by the opposition because they'd like something more concrete in terms of a crime plan, but they are attributing this increased policing, just going into communities a little bit more, other policing activities as a part of the reason why there is a reduction in murders in some parishes. And also, to add to that too, they're going after gangs. Gangs and lottery scamming also attributed to a lot of what is causing the problem in Jamaica. And so the government has been really, really heavy. The Prime Minister, the National Security Minister, the police forces, security forces in general, police and the soldiers, they've collaborated a whole lot more to target gangs because gangs seem to be a major part of the problem for us, and lottery scamming also.
Well, apart from that, the continued use of the states of public emergencies where there is I suppose, provinces in Jamaica, and please correct me if I'm wrong, have been under states of emergency. Has that worked well? Has that worked in favor of the government? Because the public themselves, have they been welcoming to these measures?
In the initial stages, I would say the state of emergency had the most effect. When you hear of a declaration as such, it causes you to pretty much pull up your socks. So whatever it is that you were doing wrong, or if your house wasn't in order, then you spring into action to get things done. So in the initial stages of a state of emergency, yes, everybody's on their P's and Q's. Having it being used over an extended period of time, just the renewal of the state of emergency time over time, I think personally the desired effect is not there as much. People aren't as sharp. They don't respond. They don't pull up as much as they ought to because, number one, the declaration is in so many different areas at once. Sometimes it's hard to really get the kind of manpower you want in these specific areas to effectively carry it. And that's my personal view, that is, because you have to have police officers on the ground doing regular policing. You still need to have officers responding to your everyday robbery, your everyday crime, your everyday domestic violence, your everyday traffic issues, your everyday in-office police work. So to have the security forces in the kind of numbers that you want them to go into communities to carry out these kind of activities in states of emergency, then you don't have the numbers that you'd want. But I do say what it does, though, is give them certain powers under the law to be able to carry out certain operations without penalization or backlash or it being unconstitutional. So it gives you the power to go into communities, to go into homes, to carry out searches, to do raids and stuff like that, to detain persons you think might be suspects in particular crimes, and to take them in until you have additional or supporting information to complete your investigation.
Let's speak for one of the factors that you just mentioned, and that is the Jamaican police force. In terms of resourcing, even human resourcing and staffing, would you say that they are well equipped and well resourced to deal with the crime situation in Jamaica? I appreciate how at the beginning of the interview you actually put the statistics into context. And with that in mind, do you think that the Jamaican police force, they're well equipped and well resourced to deal with this evolving situation?
Along with what the police need in terms of resources, is also proper compensation for them to feel like going into the battlefield to challenge these criminals is worth it for them. Because we also have a changing face in terms of the criminals nowadays. We say this among ourselves as colleagues all the time, that 20 years ago, 15 years ago, if two people had an issue and they probably saw the guy you had the issue with, he was walking with his mom or his daughter or his grandmother or something, his woman, he wouldn't dare attempt to do certain things because of the respect he had for your lady, for your child. So you're dealing with a different set of people right now in terms of these criminals. They don't care. As a matter of fact, before saying, hey, let me not do this because he's with his child, he's actually going to target the child or the mother now because it might hurt a little bit more. So when you're dealing with criminals with that kind of mindset, the police force themselves, they know that their approach has to be different because these guys seem to have no heart. So if they're going to risk their lives going into situations with guys who really don't care anymore, then not only do they need the proper resources, but they need to also know that what I'm working for and risking my life for at the end of the day is worth it. So it's a combination of factors. In terms of physical resources itself, they are putting things in place. Yes, I think we still need more numbers on the ground. That's most important. Having more persons join the force and more police officers in the force who are actually there for the right reasons, because you do find people who manage to escape loopholes who are not fit to be police officers, but they somehow manage to find that loophole and get in because they're criminals themselves. How they're able to do that, I can't really say. But we need to have more manpower on the ground, definitely, and to equip the police forces with the proper resources. Because I can tell you, these guys nowadays, they have bigger weapons. They have heavier artillery sometimes than the police forces. And when they do happen to intercept, guns coming into the country at the airport, the wharfs and stuff like that, the police force don't have these kind of weapons. They're heavier weapons than what they are equipped with. So, and for everyday policing, you would not expect high-powered weapons of this caliber to deal with just regular civilians. But sometimes it feels like these criminals are going to war while the police are just trying to maintain law and order. So I don't even know if there is a situation where they can get heavier artillery based on what the guys in the field, the criminals in the field have.
I think, Ms. Gordon, we've only concretized the topic this morning. Trinidad and Tobago and Jamaica shared problem, because everything that you've just said, I think the viewing public here in TNT certainly could relate to and could understand. But whilst we can speak about the operations on the ground, there are other operations that are all part of the fight against the underworld. What about the judicial system in Jamaica? Are there any issues there? I mean, I can start a conversation with you about the issues of our judicial system here in TNT, and it'll take, well, a lot longer than you'd probably like. But what is the situation there in Jamaica as it relates to the judicial system?
Well, I know changes are also being made, legislative changes that the government would like to see rewards from. So apart from, like the ZOSO bill and law reform, special operations and stuff like that, I know they're trying to do other things to also put a damper on this ridiculous monster of crime. So looking at proceeds of crime act, some people have unexplained wealth. How are we going to deal with that? Because even if it is that you can't maybe catch them red-handed with the guns, committing the acts, you know personally that these people, some of these people, they weren't able to acquire this kind of property and this kind of wealth had it not been for something that's illegal. And so making legislative changes right across the board, the major organized crime and anti-corruption agency, MOCA, they're doing their own reform in that organization, trafficking in persons. A big one for the government was the Firearms Act, the Firearm Prohibition, Restriction and Regulations Act, the Anti-Gang Amendment Act, the Bail Act. You're hoping to deter persons from committing certain crimes once these laws have been reformed and they're put into place. Because, for instance, the Firearms Act, if you're caught with an illegal weapon off the bat, that's an automatic 15 years. So they're hoping that making changes in terms of giving these criminals more time, that once you hear of the possible time that you might be spending in jail, it will deter you. Before even some of these laws are passed, having a gun amnesty to say, hey, now is the opportunity before the Firearms Act go into place. Now is your time to bring in your illegal weapons. Targeting gangs, heavy. We have a number of gang cases right now in the courts. Uchen's gang, Wandan gang. The Wandan now is at the stage of sentencing. So we've been through that whole process of witnesses in court and going through that part of it. Uchen's, you have a number of convictions there. So targeting the gangs after making changes to the Anti-Gang Act, the Firearms Act, the Bail Act, to know that, listen, you're spending a long time in here, so hopefully those things will deter people from doing things that are against the law.
Ms. Gordon, could you just clarify one thing? Did you just say that if you were found with an illegal firearm on you, it's automatically 15 years?
Automatic 15 years. Those are some of the changes in the new Firearms Act. They're hoping that these increased fines will scare you into not wanting to.
I think we could probably adopt some of that ideas that are being actually discussed there in Jamaica. Now, as a citizen in Jamaica, yes, you are a news broadcaster, so you may actually see things and understand things a bit more in terms of context, especially when you get down to the detail and study it. But as a citizen in Jamaica, could you say, or would you say, given what we're hearing from the Minister of National Security, the Honorable Dr. Horace Chang, that you are seeing a change, that you are seeing shifting tides, and that there has been an improvement as per the situation on the ground? Difficult question.
I'm sighing heavily. I'm sighing heavily because outside of wearing my news broadcaster hat, I personally am a scared citizen. Just in doing everyday things, I'm legitimately scared because, like I mentioned in one of your previous questions, just doing everyday things seems scary because there is no regard for time and place for criminals anymore, and so you don't know walking into a supermarket when it's going to be that establishment that is targeted. Now, because of certain restrictions and tightening, especially with lottery scamming, these criminals are finding other ways to fund their illegal operations. So I don't know if you would have been aware of the attacks now on private security companies making cash deliveries to ATMs and banks and stuff like that. So you don't know. As a matter of fact, being in a line of traffic with a security vehicle from that specific company, people automatically get scared. Being in close proximity to a specific security company, like their vehicles, people automatically start to feel scared because of the increased attacks on these security vehicles. We're seeing you're in a supermarket and gunmen just come in and just hold everybody at ransom, demanding cash, expecting, especially money transfer outlets and stuff like that. You don't know. So that for me as an average citizen sitting in traffic, I don't know when a bike is going to ride up and maybe want to target the person next to me, but in firing wildly, I could be caught in the crossfire. You just don't know. So for me, on the ground, personally as a citizen, I feel scared. I think I echo the sentiments of quite a number of people in Jamaica too, that they don't feel just okay with doing regular errands like running to the supermarket.
It's certainly, again, something that we could relate to. But my final question to you, Ms. Gordon, what has been the public's opinion or the public's reception towards the CARICOM symposium, Violence as a Public Health Emergency? Do Jamaicans see the benefit of it? Do they see it as an avenue for possibly greater strides? Or has there been a bit of, I suppose, apprehension?
You know what? I feel like anything that will ultimately help us all in the long run, because I'll go ahead and say, we were the leaders, or we are the leaders in crime in the Caribbean, in CARICOM. I think, do I want to put us in the leadership position? I don't know. I know our numbers are pretty high compared to, other countries in CARICOM.
Well, I'll let you know, TNT is 6th in the world. I think we're above Jamaica right now when you put it in context.
Oh, wow. Well, and it's not a race that we want to compete for. That's so weird. This is not even a battle we're trying to fight to win. Yeah, we'll talk about the music and whose food is nice and stuff like that, but this is not a race that we're trying to win. But now that other countries are also there has been spillover, so you're finding criminals from Jamaica going to other countries and vice versa. There needs to be a concerted effort. So taking that approach towards doing something collaborative to ensure that we all can see the results, that would be widely supported, because it's something that we're all trying to nip in the bud. So anything that we can do, whatever issues or differences or whatever debates that we may be battling personally, this is where all the attention needs to be placed. All the focus needs to go here. So in that regard, yes, I feel like the community would like for us to come together to ensure that we can all benefit from seeing a reduction in major crimes, because that's a stain on our image that doesn't augur well for us, because we have so much more that's going on. I mean, you having your carnival season not long ago, and to see the amount of people that came in, Jamaica adopting the beloved Carnival of Trinidad, and we are reaping some of those same benefits, to see how much we can collaborate and grow from just having, common ground on certain things, collaborating to ensure that we maintain that kind of international presence, that people just want to come to our country just to enjoy what we have to offer and to be integrated and a part of our fabric. I mean, those are the kind of rewards we want. So any kind of collaboration to get us to that place, we're on board.
Shared problem, but shared solutions and shared ideals of where we'd like to be. Ms. Gordon, Ms. Deidre Gordon, I want to thank you very much for joining me this morning. I know we probably got you up a bit earlier, but I'll tell you what, enjoy the sunrise.
It's just rising for me, and you're far advanced.
Ms. Deidre Gordon, thank you so
you.
much. Have a great day.
Have a good one, too, and I hope we can get to that place we're trying to.
Certainly, we will.
Most definitely. Mm-hmm.
Goodbye. And that was Ms. Deidre Gordon, news broadcaster from Radio Jamaica 94 FM. So as we concluded that particular topic, as previously mentioned, shared problem indeed. If you put things into context, even though the statistics may sound great, people in Jamaica are still scared. You would recall about 3 weeks ago on AM Prime, we showed you a news report of these vans, private security companies, their vans being robbed, being ambushed, transporting cash. It has happened a couple of times here in TNT, but it's becoming a common thing on the ground in Jamaica. And as Ms. Gordon suggested, even when you're in traffic and you see one of these security vans, you get very scared, you get very anxious, given the fact that you could be in the fire line anytime. But she did say that any approach or any collaboration that could benefit us in trying to reduce the activity of the underworld, the influence of the underworld, the power and the strength of the underworld, well, certainly that is welcomed. So shared problem, but certainly shared solutions, share ideals and a vision of where we want to be. Anyway, that's it for AM Prime this morning. Thank you very much for joining me on this beautiful Monday, full of sunshine, I hope, in your day ahead. Remember, it's a new day, a new week, a new month, maybe full of opportunity, maybe full of only good things. And as always, it's certainly my pleasure to have you accompany me, and it's certainly an honor that I get to start your day with you. And, well, hopefully if things go good enough, at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, we can see each other again. But for now, have a great day ahead, make it a productive one. Always be mature and rational in what you do. Be the bigger person. And guess what, Transbago? We could all be a little better. That'll make us all a bit sweeter. I'm Keith Shaw. This is AM Prime. Bye-bye.